And good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you into class. Come in and have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. I know we've got several online as well, so I want to welcome everybody. I'm Lynn Hamilton, the new lead instructor here at Samson. Various locations. I want to say welcome to you as well. So two things I want to start off with is first off, to brand new agents, I want to say welcome. This is going to give me a chance to help educate you from the beginning, and I don't have a lot of bad habits to break. And then for seasoned agents, want to say welcome as well. Here's what I want you to do for me, whether you're new or whether you're seasoned. As we go through this Jumpstart program, there's 4 sessions in it. They're designed to be taken in order, and with that, we also want to encourage you to sit there and go, okay, do I know that? But am I doing that? And if I am, how well am I doing that? So those are kind of the foundation. We're going to, at the end, I'm going to ask you for your aha takeaway. And through the whole 4 series, again, the reason that they're designed to be taken in order, because stuff I'm going to share with you today is going to come into play in sessions 3 and 4. And if you don't have session 1 under your belt, sessions 3 and 4, you're going to go, wait a minute, what did I miss? So that is why I encourage you to take it in order. If you have watched the introduction that I did, we talked about how, after training over 3,500 agents, I've learned a thing or two. And for most brokerages, they have all this great training, and it's like, here you go, there's a great class, there's a great class, there's a great class. You want to make sure you got all those in, because here's the rest of the pieces of the puzzle that you're going to need to put your real estate business together. Now, that being said, you don't even know where to start. So my job is to help take you methodically, step by step, through the process and put this all together in order. So I'm going to ask, do me a favor, step up here. The handouts are up here. If you grab them and pass them out to everyone. In the back, we have a sign-in sheet. I would encourage you to sign in for me. If you are interested in getting my contact information, the little card will tap with your phone, or the QR code is on there, and it'll upload my contact information onto your phone. So that's back there as well. So thank you very much for that. Okay, so as we start to put these pieces together, bear with me. So let's start off with how the handouts are platformed and set up for you. Each handout that goes along with each class that I do always has a word of wisdom. And today's word of wisdom is, what is the one thing that I can do today or this week that'll get me closer to my big why? And that basically will help me get my business going smoother, more effective, and more efficient. And we're going to come back to that in a little bit as we talk about some of your big whys. The front page of the agenda is the tasks that we're going to be covering and talking about. And from there, there's even a checklist for you to check off what you have completed. Okay? And again, that comes in handy when you're going to be meeting with your business coach or any of your brokers or managers. You've at least got the foundation in which to do that. Okay, let me see. Ethan? My slides aren't forwarding over. Pause for a moment. Yep. It's showing up here on the screen, but not showing up on there.
Huh. Interesting. That doesn't make any sense.
That don't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Oh, there it went.
It's working.
Okay. Maybe it doesn't like my clicker. It's one behind. Because what's showing up here and what's showing up there are different. I can live with it.
Okay.
I can work with it. Okay.
It might be because you're in presenter mode on PowerPoint, so it shows like the current and the next. It's not like full presenter mode.
Got it. Okay. So you're going to cut that part out, right? Oh, good. Very good. The beauty of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump back in. The first page, again, is designed to be kind of your checklist and your tracking. So I want to start off with a special thank you to Cardinal Title, who is sponsoring this class and basically all my classes. So if you find any value whatsoever from this or any of the other classes that we do here, I would encourage you to thank them. Use them when you get a chance to. If you are currently using them, continue to use them. And if you're not, give them a try on me next time. So anyway, hopefully that will be a good one for you. So again, we also have our words of wisdom that I like to share at each class as well. So here are also some other suggestions. Now my clicker's going to work. There we go. All right, so the front page, again, is designed to be your checklist and your agenda. What we're going to ask you to do is to keep these handy. I would encourage you to put a 3-hole punch into them and put them into a binder. That way you can track them. You've got your own manual that you're kind of creating as you're going along. And then when you meet with your various brokers or managers for guidance and direction, you've got it and they can see where you're at. Also, at the bottom of each page is numbered, but also on the bottom of the slide is numbered. So hopefully, if by chance you get lost or have to step out for a second, you can come back in and catch up where we're at. All right, and then as I say, we just mentioned putting everything in a 3-ring binder for you, so you're creating out your own instruction manual as we go along. Okay, so here's some class rules you need to know about. Phones off or silent. Yes, I did remember to get mine off. It's over there. I want you to be open to some new ideas. I'm going to ask you, can I have your permission to be blunt and honest with you? Tell you what you need to know and not always what you want to hear. Are you all okay with that? Give me thumbs up. Yes. Okay, good. Whew. Because there's be a few times I'm going to remind you you gave me permission. So, okay. All right. So I'm going to also ask you to hear my heart. And sometimes forgive my mouth. But there are several things that I'm very passionate about. And so you'll hear me reference as we go through classes occasionally. Please hear my heart on this one. So I'm going to get your permission there as well. You do have to laugh at my stupid jokes. So just know that that'll be coming. That was supposed to get a giggle. And then I'm going to also encourage you to learn something new. And at the end of class, have your aha, your takeaway. And then really what I want you to do is I want you to go implement something. Implement something you learned. I say, after training over 3,500 agents, I've seen the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I'm going to let you know what they are. And so one of them is going to classes and going, oh, wow, that was great, that was wonderful. And you ask them what they learned. Oh, my gosh, there was just so much I don't even know. A month later, you're asking them what their aha, their takeaway was. Oh, my gosh, there was so much I just don't know. And then 6 months later and a year later, they're still in the same rut they were in before. Okay? This information is no good unless you do something with it. So that's what my goal and my mission is for you. Hopefully is to haunt you just a little bit and to make sure that you're implementing some of the things that you're learning along the journey. Okay, so we ready to get started? Yeah. On our mark, get set, let's go. All right, so what I'm going to ask you to do with your handouts is we're going to talk about your why. We all have a why. We all have a why of why we're in this business. So I'm going to role play out just a little bit so you can kind of see how this goes. But then I'm going to show you how to leverage it with your clients. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts you probably have not heard it in this format before. I'm also a firm believer, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. If I remember where I learned a particular technique from, I'm going to reference it and give him credit. And so I'm going to give a shout out to Joe Stump with By Referral Only. He was in San Diego with us, and he was the one that taught me this many, many years ago. And when I learned it and then implemented it, it changed my buyer and seller consultation big time. Okay? So we're going to role play it out with you as an agent first, and then I'm going to share you how to leverage it with your clients. So as you have heard before, if you've ever met with a broker or manager to go through your goals, why are you in this business? So what I want you to do is on your worksheet a little bit, why are you in this business? I'm going to role play out. I often hear because of money. So I'm going to say, okay, so here's $1. Is that enough money? Is that more money than you've got now? It's $1 more. Is that what you're wanting? You've got to know why it is that the money is important. So you will ask yourself, why is that important? But then what will that allow you to do? To have more money, what will that allow you to do? You're going to go down and ask yourself the why, the why, the why, the why, down about 4 or 5 or 6 levels of question. Now, some people know it and they'll get right to the gut right away. Others, you got to dig just a little bit. So why is money important? Because it's going to allow me to do additional things for my family. So why is that important? Because my spouse, my significant other works really hard. I want to take the financial burden off them a little bit. And then you're going to ask yourself again, why is that important? But also, what and how will that make your life different? I've got an agent that I worked with recently whose husband's in a very high-paying, very stressful professional industry and career, and she wants to do enough to take the financial burden off him a little bit so he doesn't feel that he needs to have the additional shifts or the additional time at work. And if she's got enough extra that she can pay for the luxury or the fun things or the fun money for vacations, then that's her big why. Her big why is not to make the house payment. Her big why is on a deeper level than that. Also because she's a mom and she wants to make sure that that priority is in place. She has no desire to be a multi-million mega producer, but that's still just as important as someone who does. Okay, so it doesn't have to be big and grand. You just need to know what it is. So once you get down to why is that important, what will that allow you to do that you can't do right now? How will that make your life different? And why is that going to be important? Now you've gotten down to the big why, the big in your gut. It's what's going to pull you out of bed in the morning when life has thrown you a curveball and you would just as soon stay in bed, pull your covers over your head and go, I'm out today. Just go on without me. It is that big why that's going to yank you out and get you going. Okay? So you need to know what it is. And I will tell you, when I was an agent and active, my big why was to keep my daughter's college paid, because that was a commitment I had made to her. Scared me to no end, because whether I was ready or not, tuition was coming. I used to jokingly say that she was cheaper than bail, and especially for people that knew me and knew my daughter, they thought it was funnier than all get out. Then when we got into the master's program, I went, maybe it's not, but it was still good. So this was my big why at the time, was be able to have the funds that I needed when tuition came due, when books were due, when she called me and said, hey, guess what? And I said, what? And she says, I talked to Dr. Cornelius. And I'm thinking, and who's Dr. Cornelius? And she says, he's the head archivist in charge of the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Archives in Springfield, Illinois. I went, oh, that one. Yeah, I know him. She looked at me and laughed, because I didn't. She was allowed to get into the archives for her research for her master's thesis. She was able to get her hands on things that hadn't seen the light of day in over 100 years. But in order to do it, we had to go to Springfield. And I said, cool, I'm going. You going with me? She goes, Mom, it's Springfield. I said, daughter, there's planes from San Diego to Springfield. There's hotels, there's rent-a-cars. We're good, we're going. But because I knew that that was my big why, I had it. And we were able to go do that. And bucket list, memorable, but you've got to know what yours is. And there were times during that chapter, we had family members passing away. My best friend and real estate partner passed away. There were days I would just as soon stayed in bed, pull the covers up and say, you know what, world, you just go on without me because I'm done. But I knew that was my big why. So what I'm encouraging you to do is dig deep into your gut, find your big why, and know what it is. So when those day comes that you would just as soon check out for the day, you know what it is that you need to accomplish, okay? All right, so any questions on that part? We're gonna hold questions to the end, so bear with me. All right, so now here's where the magic comes in. Let me make sure I've got my slides up to everybody. Why is that important? What will that allow you to do? Why is that important? What difference is that gonna make to make your life better? And then what is the benefit that it's going to bring you? So those are kind of the questions you want to walk yourself through as you're developing out your why. So here's where the magic comes in. This is how you can leverage it with your clients and get to their big why as well. So role play out. During a buyer or seller consultation, and you go through their wants and needs with them, one of the questions you're going to ask them is, why is that important? Now, they're going to tell you. then you can ask them the same question. So how will that make your life different or better? They're going to tell you. You can ask, how are you going to use that space? They're going to tell you. Now you've gotten down into their big why. So years ago, somebody had told me this great saying. They said it was Burt Reynolds that said it. Don't know if it was, but we'll give him credit if it did. When you're up to your you-know-what in alligators, it's hard to remember the reason you went in the swamp was to drain it. So when you are up to your you-know-what in alligators, it's hard to remember the reason you're in the real estate business is to hit your big whys. Sometimes with a client, when they're up to you're all up to your you-know-what in alligators, it's hard to remember what is their big why. And when you're able to identify what is their big why, when those times hit, you're able to guide them and walk them through it, keeping them calm, cool, and collective. I used to tell my clients, you can't freak out unless I'm freaking out. If I'm freaking out, then it's game on, let's go, okay? But if I'm not in panic, you can't go in panic. They'd go, okay. All right, so here's how this plays out. And I'm going to give you a couple examples of story time of how it worked in the real world. So had a client one time, obviously sitting down with them, going through their wants and needs. She was wanting to buy. She said she wanted a yard. So I'm thinking, a yard, are we talking bigger than a postage stamp? Are we talking huge? Are we talking acreage? You know, what do you want? What are you wanting? So I asked to define yard for me, what she was looking for. Then I asked her, how was she planning on using that space? Because she wanted a decent size. She wanted to, be able to use it. And again, I wouldn't have known unless I asked. So she proceeds to tell me that she wants to put in a garden. Okay, so now I know for her to put a garden in, it cannot be a slope or a hill. It's preferably got to be a flat. And so we got into the further conversation is, why is the garden important to you? Well, she shared that her daughter had just been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, and eating healthy, organic grown fruits and vegetables was going to be better for her health. And this was before, they were on every corner. So it was important to her to have a yard with the ability to grow fruits and vegetables. I said, okay, now I'm getting to her big why. So then we got into, I needed to know, so I said, obviously a slope or an incline is not going to work, correct? I said, will these be above ground? Because I don't know enough about the soil, but will these be above ground or in ground? She says, depending on the soil, it'll either have to be in the ground if it's good soil, or above ground, she can build them, the flower beds up. I said, okay. So we talked about it a little bit more, and I found out, again, the why it was important, what she was wanting to do with that space, and why that was important to her. So as I started looking for properties, I would find some that the house absolutely met their needs, but the yard didn't. So I would say, okay, house does, yard doesn't, okay, we'd pass on it. I finally found an area, it dawned on me, there was an area that used to be cow fields way back when. That had the richest soil in town. So I said, would this area be of interest to you because of the soil? She went, oh my God, yes. So we were able to find a couple of houses. She was able to literally feel and check the soil, and turned out to be a perfect match. We were able to find her a house in that area that had ideal soil for her to be able to grow the garden in. Now, if I hadn't asked those questions and got to that level of her big why, I probably would have been chasing around town looking at properties that really didn't meet the needs, okay? So in another scenario, had a client that was wanting 5 bedrooms, 4 or 5 bedrooms. I'm thinking, you're a family of 3. So question was, why are those additional bedrooms important to you? How do you see yourself using them? And tell me about that. So they got to announce they were expecting a new child, joining the family. They wanted to be able to have a place for the grandparents to come and visit and stay, preferably on the first level. And one of the parents was starting to get with some health concerns, and they projected a few years down the road, they may eventually need to have a parent come with them, okay? Now, if I didn't ask and I didn't know that, I wouldn't have been able to know their big why and really what to look for them when we were looking for the homes, okay? So take this technique, Run yourself on the scenario with why are you in this business, what's important to you, what is it going to allow you to do that you couldn't get if you were out pouring coffee, and why is that important? Then, next time you do a buyer or seller consultation and you go through the wants and needs with them, stop and ask yourself, why is that important? Why is that important? How do you see yourself using that space? Why is that good for you? The last one I'll share with you, they wanted a yard. I said, okay, share with me how you envision using this yard. They were getting ready to retire in about 2 years. And I'm thinking, why do you want a big yard? Their dream was to have a dog rescue where they could bring in certain breeds or adopt from the shelter and retrain them. And so they wanted space for them to run, space that they could do training, space that they could have kennels for them. Ideally, they wanted to have a extra room or a family room. We don't have basements in California, by the way. A big area that they could house them inside as well and have a place for them to roam. I now knew their big why. It wasn't over the house. It wasn't necessarily over the price point. It was more about what that home, the lifestyle that it would bring them. And sure enough, we found one. And sure enough, 2 years later, they retired, and they were able to open and get all the fencing in and everything they needed, and they were able to live their dream because they now had a place to bring in the extra dogs. So get to the big why. And when you find you're in a transaction and what's hitting the fan, it gives you a chance to say, remember, the reason we went in the swamp was to drain it. This is going to get us to your big why of having the yard for the dogs, or the yard for the garden, or the space for the family, whatever it is, you're able to bring them back to their big why and why you're going through all this chaos sometimes, okay? So that hopefully is your aha takeaway on that one. It is a brilliant technique. What I actually did when I learned it, because I didn't want to forget, on my sheet that I had their wants and needs that I would write down, I actually wrote the questions down. Why is that important? What will that allow you to do? Tell me about how you're going to use that space. So I knew that I would not forget to mention those things or to ask those things during that consultation, okay? All right, so there you have it. Now, we talk about putting the pieces of the puzzle together. This piece goes to this piece. Okay, so this piece is learning to do the why and learning to do it with your clients. Now, when we eventually get to several classes down the road, doing a buyer consultation and seller consultation, I'm going to give you this piece that connects to this piece. And you're going to understand how it all fits in. Okay, good. All right, so let's move on. All right, so the next, we're going to talk about, this is Business 101. This isn't Real Estate 101. This is Business 101. I found a lot of agents were missing pieces of their foundation of the business. And so I thought, okay, I couldn't believe we needed to do this, but we're going to do this. So again, if you're a brand new agent, great. I don't have bad habits I have to break. If you're a seasoned agent, great, because what I want you to do is step back and say, okay, am I doing this? Did I know this? Probably heard it before, but am I doing it, and how well am I doing it? So that's what we're going to talk about. So business planning obviously is more than just having numbers on a piece of paper. When you meet with your manager, your broker, whoever your coach or business trainer is, you want to make sure that you know what your goals and what your targets are. It's more than just saying, I want to do this amount of money. We need to break it down into the amount of money, yes, but the number of transactions, the price point, break it down. And session 4 of this series, we're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty on some of that as well to show you how to make that happen as well. So again, pieces of the puzzle all coming together. So we also want to talk about, obviously, knowing what your goals are, but then we also want to get into creating SMART goals. Now, I know that SMART goals, that term has been around forever and a lifetime. Basically, they are being specific. Where did my slide? There it goes. There we are. Okay, sorry about that. So we're going to be specific. We're going to be measurable. You're going to aim for attainability and then stretch ever so much. They're going to be real and relevant, and they're going to be time sensitive. So obviously, you want to be, I want to hit my goals. If I want to do $1 million, $1 million of what? $1 million of, sale price point, or $1 million in income price point? And is that price point before taxes and expenses or after taxes and expenses? Okay? So you need to be very, very specific and very detailed. You want to be able to measure it. Can you measure it? Can you track it? Can you tell if you're on track or on point or not? You're going to aim, can it be attainable? Well, if you're only wanting to work 2 hours a week and do $1 million in income, we may need to talk real quick. Okay? You want to make it real and relevant. Does what you're doing now hit you towards your final goals and what you're wanting to achieve? Okay? And then time sensitive. You got to have a deadline on it. Okay? Because if not, it's going to take you a month of Sundays to get to it. So on your handout on page 3 there's a couple of bullet points of 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead, list down a couple things that you want to be able to track and chart, and know that that is part of your homework. So, okay. All right, so the next thing we want to take a quick tip and chat about is when you're working on your goals and your dreams, you want to be able to block time off. You want to be able to write them down, because if they're not written down, it's a wish. You want to prioritize them. Okay, what's more important? And for some of you that are newer agents, your priority right now is going to be get your business foundation in place. It's going to be get your business in order so that you can build off of it. That's what session 1 and 2 of Jumpstart is about, getting that foundation in place and ready so that you can build out on it. Because again, we can't build. It's like trying to build your foundation Swiss cheese in the middle of quicksand. It doesn't work. Because at some point, you're going to take a step and down you go. All right? So I'm going to be able to block off time to do it. You want to write down your dreams and turn them into goals. You know, prioritize. And then obviously you want to celebrate your progress and your accomplishments as well. I'm a firm believer is that you need to have a point where you celebrate what you've achieved. And I don't care if it's you're going to go out and have a margarita with your girlfriend or friends after work. If that is the celebration for getting this done, then go for it. It could be going and getting the kids or grandkids and go have Slurpees until y'all want to throw up. I don't care. Ride merry-go-rounds. It could be, yeah, I got to have fun with life. So it could be that you want to go treat yourself to a manicure and pedicure even. Whatever it is, treat yourself with small goals along the line of accomplishing those things, okay? Because that's important as well. All right. Now, on the next page of your handout, page 4, is a goal-setting worksheet. So there you have it. No excuse. All you got to do is figure out what your goal is. There's a line there to write it down, and then go ahead and work through it. So that is part of your homework as well, is to map it down. Again, reminding you that this is all part of putting those missing pieces of your puzzle together and putting together them in order. Okay, so imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. That was an Albert Einstein. No, I didn't say it, but it was Albert Einstein. I thought it was a good one. And it's important to know that the imagination is everything, but having goals with purpose, having goals with deadlines, and mapping them out is just as important as well. If not, it's a wish, and wishes typically don't come true. Okay? All right, so the next thing we want to talk about, you've got your business, you've got this pile of business, and now you're ready to start putting it together. So you've got your goals. I'm a firm believer in vision boards. We are human beings. We have 2 eyes for a reason, and we need to visualize things. Now, there are 3 different types of learners, which we cover in the DISC class, but we're either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. Most of us are visual to a certain degree. We need to see what it is as reminders. That's why our to-do list. That's why we're all visual on many, many levels. So the importance of having a vision board, don't poo-poo it and think that it's childish, because yes, it is, but you know what? It's also very powerful. So it embeds in the brain what you are wanting and needing to accomplish and to do. Okay? And if you look around some of the offices, even on the wall over here, there's the Samson, properties, the be nice, pay it forward, be professional. Those are all things we may not stop and read it every time we walk by, but we've done it at least once, and it's an embedded command that comes back into our brain every time we walk by it. So it is brilliant. So your vision boards are just as powerful. So you want to decide, obviously, what your goals are. And I would encourage you to have them business, personal, family, health, spiritual, whatever that means to you. Have all the components of your life represented in there as well. Now, you can do it on a sheet of paper. You can do it on a bulletin board, poster board, whiteboard. You can do it digitally. You can do it on a wall. You can do it on a mirror. You can do it on a glass window. I don't care, because they're all powerful. Now, you can go into magazines and pull out, oh, this is the living room that I want, or this is the yard that I want, or I want this done in my house, or this is how I want to look, or a pile of money, whatever that is that speaks to you. So there is no right or wrong in that component. So again, you can go online and pull clip art out. You can go into magazines. Yes, they still have magazines. Pull pictures out. You can take pictures of things and put it on there. Whatever it is that speaks to you, that triggers the mind to say, that represents one of my goals. That represents one of my goals. And you know what it is. Okay? So once you've got kind of your goal board coming together, it doesn't have to be perfectly, evenly mapped out and methodical unless you're that OCD and it's got to be, mapped out. It can be just all plastered on there. However it resonates and speaks to you, that's how you want it to go. Now, what do you do with it once you got it done? Now, you can hang it in your office, you can hang it in your bedroom, you can hang it in your bathroom, you can hang it, wherever. One of the things that I knew agents used to do, which I thought was pretty brilliant, is they would actually take a picture of it with their phone. They put it on as their screensaver on their phone, and they would even sometimes have it on the screensaver of their computer. So when the computer woke up, there's their goal board. Now, they may not sit and study it for the moment, but that embedded command into the brain of that was their goals, it's going to reinforce what it is. Now, there's lots of fun stories about agents who have done goals boards, and then they set them aside, or they got lost, or they fell behind a cabinet and pulled them out months later, and they look at it and went, holy smokes, they got everything on there completed. So it is the act of doing it that is part of that embedded into you. So when you see it, or just knowing that it's there, whether it's on your phone or on your computer screen, it just reaffirms what it is that's in your brain. Now, let's talk about the brain real quick. We all have one, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Some work better than others. But did you know the brain will take anything that it hears and says, or anything that it hears or sees, and it takes it in and replays it 10,000 times in the course of a 24-hour period? Good, bad, and ugly. Yeah, we talk about that next week a little bit. But it replays it. So that is why the fact of having the vision board and the goal boards, because the brain is going to recapture it and replay it and keeps you on track. So I've heard, some people say, oh, it's silly, it's childish, it's whatever. Yeah, no, it's not. Okay. Now, if you've got kids, oh yeah, teach them to do one as well. Have a component for them. And if you're working from home and have got kids, especially during the summer, create a goals, rewards, and vision board for them as well, that if you get to work for X number of hours uninterrupted, they get what? Do you go get an ice cream at Dairy Queen? If you're in Fredericksburg, do you go to Carl's and get an ice cream? What is it that you're going to reward them and pay off as well? It's teaching them discipline as well. It is teaching them how they're watching you. They're watching you take your goals, break them down, put them on a visual, and next thing you're going to catch them doing the same thing. It's powerful. So if you got little ones, give that one some thought. All right. So again, you can put it on your phone. You can put it on your computer screen. But also, again, make sure that you're including all aspects of your life, not just the business. Because it's like going to the gym and just lifting weights, one time over and over again. That one muscle gets good, everything else goes bad. All right? So you want to keep it well-rounded as well. All right, let's scoot on to the next thing we want to talk about. So once you've created the board, where do you put it? We've talked about that. You can put it anywhere. Screensaver on the computer is probably, one of the most amazing ones. What I'm going to ask you to do at the end of class is to take a few minutes to jot down a few things that you would like to add that comes to the top of your head that you would like to add onto your vision board as you start to build it out. All right? So, deep breath. Got some oxygen flowing back in there. All right, we're ready to jump into the next section? On your mark, get set, let's go. All right, so the next missing piece of your real estate, yes, and I have to pick those up later, is your database. I'm amazed at how many seasoned agents tell me they don't have a database. I just want to go bang ahead here, okay? We're going to talk about your database heavily in session 3. I'm going to show you how to blast that thing into the universe, but you have to have it in place. Now, you guys are all lucky. Y'all have access to KV Core. Now, how many of you, just quick show of hands, love KV Core, and how many are going, oh my God, it scares me to no end? Oh my God, it scares me to no end is what I'm getting. All right, so here's what I want you to do. If you reference back to your front page, what is the one thing that I need to do today or this week that'll make the rest of my life go easier, smoother, flower? KV Core is going to be one. So, see how that tweaks around? All right, so here's what I ask you to do. You are being provided the most amazing, robust platform in KV Core. But what we, and I'm going to include myself in this as well, but what we have done is we hear about all the bells and whistles and the boosts and the posts and the that it can do and the single page websites and yada 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 that it can do, and your brain goes, okay? Don't do that, it makes a mess. What I want you to do is step back and say, what is the one thing I can do this week regarding KV Core? I need to get it activated. Okay, so if you don't have it activated, that is your one thing. Get it activated. Once it is activated, what is the next one thing that you can do? You can get a hold of or go in and watch one of the videos to show you how to embed your basic information. Okay, make sure your all your stuff is in there. We're going to talk about bio up next. So, pieces of puzzle coming together. You see it? All right, so KV Core, what is the one thing you need to do? You need to get it activated. Once that's done, check, boom, got it. What's the next one thing I need to do? I need to go in and add my contact information. Do I have that? Got it, good, accomplished, done. You're not worrying about what it can do over here. You're worrying about right now what you need to do to get it in place. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to add yourself as a contact into KV Core. Okay? Once you have got that done, then you're going to go, yes, I did it. Okay? Then you're going to ask a friend or family, hey, can I add you in? I'm setting up a database. I need your help. Great line. If you don't know this one, add this to your vocabulary. Got a problem? I need your help. Got a problem? I need your help. Or I'm working on a project. I need your help. 99% of the time, people are giving people, and they will say, sure, what do you need? I'm putting together my database. I need to put a couple people in there as a test. Would you be okay if I added you in right now and then triggered off a couple things just because I want to test it to make sure I'm doing it correctly? Again, 99.9% of the time, they're going to tell you absolutely. Okay? So that is the one thing that you will do is to add yourself, ask somebody else, get them added in there as well. Okay? Now, what we cover in session 3 on the database, you can't do until you got this in place. So that's why I'm saying this is important to put it together in order. Now, if you come to me and go, Lynn, I am just old school to the 9. I don't even have a computer. I'm just kidding. You got it in this day and age. I'm waiting to hear that one, though. I've heard almost everything, not that one. But I have had an agent one time say, you know what, I am so old school. Can you show me how to do this on 3x5 note cards? Game on, let's go. Okay? You go get, I'll tell them what they need to go get. They're going to get it. I'm going to show them how to set it up in an index file. Okay? It can still be done. But now, if you have not started at all and you want to kind of get a jump start between now and week 3, if nothing else, do it in Excel. Start, and I know somebody just went, ooh. So you can put it in Excel and we can export it up in. okay? But if you want to just go in and learn how to enter one contact, not 101, one contact into KV Core, start with that. And then add that in and say, okay, got that? Woohoo! Okay, add one more. Woohoo! Got that. Because we're eventually we're going to show you how to hashtag and categorize. You can make that thing sing and dance. Your go-to source, by the way, is Lori O'Day. And if you've got any questions about KV Core, she is your go-to source. So give it a whirl. Refer to the videos. Don't worry about all the advanced stuff. Just do the, what do I need to do right here? Now, I will tell you, I messaged Lori the other day, got a quick response back. Maybe it was just me, I don't know. But she, I doubt it, she's really very good. And I asked if with KV Core, agents were able to add a custom page. And she says, yes. I did the happy dance. You should have seen it. No, you shouldn't have. But I did the happy dance, because I had been told in the past, no, you couldn't. Yes, you can. So when we get a few more sessions down the road, I'm going to show you what to put on your custom page and the fact that it can be done. So anyway, I was excited. So Lori is a great go-to source. The only thing that I have not been able to figure out to get KV Core to do, and I don't know if it's a glitch in the system or if Lori knows how to fix it or what to do with it, I can't get it to vacuum. I'm just saying. If you can figure out how to make KV Core vacuum the house, I love it. So, but you got to have at least one thing that doesn't work, and vacuuming the house from KV Core is it. So, but it is a robust, amazing system, but for most agents, it's scaring us to no end. Time out, take a breath. What's the one thing you need to do? Once you get that done, take a breath. What's the one thing you need to get in place? Get that done. Take a breath. What's the one thing I need to get in place? And get that done. That is how you eat an elephant, by the way, one bite at a time. That's how you conquer KV Core, is one step at a time. All right, boom, KV Core. All of you will have it up and going by tomorrow for me. All right, another important missing piece of agents' puzzles are, their bio. That wedged in my computer. Is their bio. Believe it or not, clients will want to Google and look you up. Other agents will want to Google you and look you up. And if they find nothing, or they find a dead link on a on your website, or a dead link on whatever, or no information at all, no picture, no nothing, they're going to wonder, what kind of agent are you? Are you that lackadaisical that you don't take your basics serious? And what are you going to be like in a transaction? Now, right, wrong, or indifferent, that is what some of them will think. So for your clients, especially if it's been a referral, now if you're dealing with people that you know, they may still look you up just as a wiggle and a giggle. But if it's somebody that you don't know, or was referral to somebody else, they may very well go look you up. And so you want to make sure that your information is out there. So writing a bio for most agents scares them to no end, so let's break it down and talk about the basics of what goes into writing your bio. First thing you want to do is determine whether you're going to write it in first person or in third person. First person would be the I've done this, I do this, I've done this. It is preferred that it is written in third person. So in other words, it sounds like somebody else is writing it about you. Okay? And for most of us, we're more comfortable in that because you don't want it to sound too egotistical, but you do want to have it that Lynn has done this, this, and this, or Lynn is from here, or whatever. So your first paragraph is the introduction about who you are, and just a little bit, again, it's 3 to 5 sentences. We're not talking 3 to 5 pages. It's 3 to 5 sentences of who you are, where you're from, if you lived in another area, when you relocated to Virginia, whatever. The purpose of that first paragraph is for someone who is skimming it. They're looking for something they can go, oh, I'm from that area too, or I went to that college as well, or I've got kids in this sport as well. They're looking for something to connect to you that's similar to them. All right? So that is the first paragraph, is going to be a little bit about, you and from where you're from. We talked about the third person. Let me get caught up on my slides. So the first paragraph is a little bit about your past. The second paragraph is going to be more along the line of your current positions, any awards or special education you have. If you've got credentials in, the buyer specialist or any of those other things, you can include those in there as well. And again, just keep it short and sweet, is that you pride yourself in continuing your education and have achieved, these designated titles. Again, keep it 3 to 5 sentences, and it's not a doctoral resume, okay? It's just keep it short and sweet. Again, they're wanting to see that you are professional, but again, it's being written as somebody else is writing it about you, all right? Then, the last paragraph that comes in is from you. That is your statement to them. Is, I love working with buyers, I love working with sellers, whatever it is. Again, just a couple of quick sentences about you that's written now by you, okay? Then I always like to see one short testimonial from a past client or even another agent that's worked with you. So if you have either one of those, that would go into the last, under your little paragraph about you, then one testimonial of what somebody else has said or what others have said, okay? So on your bio, that's it. Again, it should take you no longer than 30 to 45 minutes, an hour at the most, to get that typed out. Because when we start getting your KV core into place, we're going to need it. So you have 2 weeks to get that done. If not, now if you get it done ahead of time, you can upload it into your KV core platform, and yes, at some point I'll be double checking. So, all right, so again, easy breezy, but again, I want you to understand, yes, the do it, but the why, because you're going to have agents and other clients want to check you out and look you up, and when they find nothing, it says a lot about you, and it's usually not good. Okay? All right. So that is it on your bio. All right, name badges. This is a bloom where you're planted technique, and again, I'm amazed at how many agents don't even have a name badge. So if you don't, you may want to consider getting one, and especially when you're saying, well, how do I let people know that I'm in the industry? Wear your name badge. Wear a shirt or something with Samson on it. You can have fun with the name badge. There was an agent that I knew, she always put her name badge on upside down. And she did it intentionally. Why? It was a conversation starter. And she said she got more business out of having her name badge on upside down than anything else she ever did. I say go for it. Wear it upside down. But let's talk about where the name badge needs to go. It needs to go in your upper right-hand shoulder blade, not below the armpits, but on the upper shoulder. The reason why is because when you go to meet someone, you're going to reach your right hand out to greet them. Yeah, we still shake hands with people. Okay. When you do, their brain is trying to capture your face. Their eye is going to the name tag. They're listening for your name, and their brain is trying to take a snapshot of it. If it is too low, it becomes very awkward and uncomfortable. You figure it out from there. So you want to keep it on the upper shoulder blade, and if you really want to have fun, put it on upside down. It'll definitely be an attention starter. And a gal used to do that, or still does, she would go to school and pick up her kids, and they say, oh, your name badge is on upside down. She goes, well, that way I can read it in case I forget who I am. But it was always a conversation starter, and that she was then able to share that she was out previewing homes for a client before she came and picked the kids up. Didn't even realize it was on upside down. Oh, I see, you're in real estate. And it started that conversation. Best conversation starter ever. An inexpensive name badge, and wear it upside down. Okay, so that is where you wear your name badge and why. All right, deep breath, everybody. Get some oxygen flowing in there. And we ready for the next section? All right, let's go into it. All right, voicemails. Holy smokes. I cannot believe that we even need to discuss this, but we're going to because I've seen it all. So on your voicemail, you want to make sure that you've updated it in the last 10 years. Okay? You want to make sure that the company is actually correct. Now, unless you're a secret agent and you want nobody to know who you are and what you do, then don't update your voicemail. But if you're a regular agent, you need to have it on there. Now, here's where a challenge could come in. I get it. If you are dual career and you have to use your cell phone for the other, there may be a problem there that you can't identify yourself as an agent with Samson Properties. So you need to take that into consideration, but you do want to make sure that it is updated. You do want to make sure that you are not leaving your voicemail full so nobody can leave you a message. That will grind the jaws of other agents to the moon and back, okay? So I get it. You may think you're that in a bag of chips and all you want to do is have everybody text you, but you also need to make sure, remember I told you, hear my heart, okay? Forgive my mouth. You want to make sure that you are easily accessible, okay? So now let's talk about some special things that you can add into your voicemail message. Obviously, hello, this is Lynn, your favorite realtor at Samson Properties. I'm sorry I missed your call, yada, 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 whatever it is you want to say. There's an example on your handout. Now, you want to be careful that you do not need to say anymore, this is Monday, whatever the date is and the time, or ask them to leave the date and the time that they called, because guess what? Voicemails have improved over the last 100 years, and it tells you now what time and what date the voicemail came in. So you do not need to tell people that in your message anymore. You do not need to tell them they need to wait for the tone. Unless they've not left anybody a voicemail message in the last 100 years, they kind of know that. But guess what? I still hear that every once in a blue moon. I will hear it on a voicemail, and yes, I laugh. So that does not need to be on there. Again, I told you I'm going to tell you what to do and what not to do. There's one of them. All right, so have your basic information. Now, here's options that you can add in there. Option 1 is, if this is a business call and after 7 p.m., I may return your call the following business day. It is okay for you to say that. You do not need to think you are on call 24/7. Okay? So you can't, whatever the time is, whether it be 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever it is, you can set yourself business hours and say, if this is a business call after this time, I will be returning your call the following business day starting at 8 a.m. Okay, you can be that specific if you want. Option number 2 is what's called real-time voicemail. So let's say you're going to be in class all day. You've got a class at the board you've got to take. You cannot have your phone on. You got your CE credits going on. You need to be, off the radar. You can change your voicemail to say, it is Tuesday, whatever the date is. I will be in continued education all day long. I will be unable to return calls until after 4 p.m. Please leave me specifics with what you're needing. I will get back with you as soon as I can. Or I'll check messages at noon and return calls at 4 p.m. Whatever it is, whatever that day entails. Now, if you've got I've known agents that have done when they've had to go to funerals. They just said, hey, I'm going to be, off the radar today or off the radar until 2 p.m. You don't need to be specific on personal stuff. You can be, specific to say, hey, I'm getting continued education, so I can, always, better serve my clients. They're going to appreciate that. But what that does is it lets them know that you are off the radar and not to expect a call until 4. Because that way, if they called you at 10, by 11 o'clock, they're fuming. Well, I left her a message. I left him a message, and they haven't called me back. Okay? So when you use the advantage of the real-time voicemail, they know you're off the radar. I'll hear from them at 4. Good, I can go on about my day and don't need to sit and wait. And I don't need to get all worked up over the fact that you haven't called me back. It's okay. It is very business appropriate to be able to do that. Now, if you are going to do that and you've specified the date and the time on there that you're off the radar, be sure you update it by the end of the day. Okay? Don't leave. Nothing worse than calling someone and they had a real-time voicemail from 4 weeks ago, and it's still on there. So if you're going to use this technique, which is great, just make sure that you're updating it as well, and it doesn't take that long to do. Okay? All right, so option number 3 in the good, better, best is to also at the, leave your message. I'll get back with you as soon as I can. And by the way, don't forget to ask about my free reports. You can leave a tagline call to action at the end of your voicemails as well. Or feel free to visit my website for great tips and information on, first-time home buyers or whatever it is that your niche and specialty are going to be. You can have that on there as well. Now, the other option, option number 4, which is listed on there, is I'm sorry I missed your call, but I'm giving the same top quality service to another client at this time. Please bear with me. Leave me a message. I will call you back as soon as I'm free. Okay? What that does is 2 things. It lets them know that when it's their turn and their time to have consultation or time with you, you are not going to be distracted by every time your phone rings. Okay? That you are going to value their time as much as you are valuing the time of another client. Okay? So that's the dual benefit on that one there as well, is it allows them to be, oh wow. Okay? And then when you do have time that you meet with them, you always say, okay, let me just turn my phone off because I want to make sure I give you my full attention. And you know what? They appreciate it. Okay? They typically, they being the client, they typically do not appreciate your time being constantly interrupted with your phone binging and bonging off. Okay? So give that one some thought, see how you like to run your business, and there you have it. Okay, let's move on. We got more to cover. Email signatures and signature lines. Okay, first off, again, I am always amazed at how many agents do not have a designated business email. Now, they use their personal email, not always the best option. It is my belief, and everything that I've learned from every great trainer in the industry, from business all the way up into real estate, you have your personal email, you have a business email, your work email. Your work email, ideally, if you can get the Lynn Sells Virginia, let's say, at Gmail, and lynnsellsvirginia.com, if you can get your email address and your domain name the same, it makes your marketing much more professional, and it makes it much more polished, and it's easier to remember, because if they can remember one, they can remember the other. Okay? So if you are a brand new agent, let's make sure we're getting you set up to start with. If you have any questions, obviously shoot me a quick email. I'll be happy to throw a comment back. If you've already kind of established in the business and you go, ooh, that's a good idea, maybe I need to do that, you still can. Okay? It's never too late, because for a little while you can forward the other one over to your business one until you eventually get everyone using just the business one. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So whenever possible, get them both. So you want to look at, if you're going to be creating a new one, consider it. Look on Gmail if that's the format you're going to use. Also look at like a GoDaddy or Google, we're going to talk about that in a second, whether that's available. Make sure they're both available before you secure them in. Okay? Make sense? Awesome. All right. Let me share something with you real quick on Google domains versus GoDaddy. Okay, now I know everyone's default was go to GoDaddy.com to get your domain name. We've all done it. I've done it for years. Now, the problem that has come up with that is you'll get the introductory price and then the $9.95 or whatever it is for year 2. And then they got you hooked. They know that you're using it for business. And if you need to renew it, and then renew it, and then renew it, they can take the prices up, and you're stuck, because you can't not get it. You can't not renew it. It was my understanding, don't take this to the bank, but it was my understanding that if you canceled a domain name, they lock it for a certain period of time until it's available again, but I don't know what that time is. Okay, if anybody does, email me, let me know. But you can't say, well, I'm going to cancel my GoDaddy one and get it through this, because it may not be available. It's not going to come up. So keep that in mind. Now, Google domains, and again, there's others. There's others. So do your due diligence, do your little bit of research, but just know what will sometimes happen. So Google domains, which again I didn't know existed till recently, it's $12 a year. It's $12 a year for year 2 and year 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Now, when I learned this, lo and behold, 2 months later, up comes my GoDaddy. I've had it forever and a lifetime. $45 for 2 years to renew it. I have no choice. I have no choice. Now, if I had it through Google Domains, it would have been $24 versus $44. So I've had it for so long with GoDaddy, I can't let it go. So I had to suck it up and pay it. So just know that that's kind of what may and potentially happen, is that once that gets started, they can do whatever they want with the pricing because they figure you're a business, you ain't gonna let it go. So give that one some thought. But there's several platforms out there that you can just, again, file that one away and be aware. All right, so speaking of, before we go on to domains, let's talk real quick about the signature line of your email addresses. You want to keep your business and personal email separate. We already talked about that. One thing that I did when I got really busy, I actually created a third email address that was for business, and it was transactionswithlynn@gmail. And once I took anything into escrow and we had things going, I would use that email for any of the transaction communication. It was always, the subject line was the property address and either the buyer's name or what it was regarding. And that way, if I had a busy schedule and I had a break, the email I'm going to check first is that one, because that was the most important, is to stay on top of anything that was a transaction that was going. If then I had time to break, then I would go ahead and check the business one. My personal one could wait till I got home. What happens over and over and over again is you got it all coming into one, and we know how many emails we get, and all of a sudden the report that you are waiting for gets shuffled into your emails. You're scanning through it real quick and you overlook it, and then you're fuming and fussing because the report didn't come in yet, did it sitting in your email box, but because you had so much other stuff in there, your brain just overlooked it and you missed it, okay? So that is part of the reason that you want to keep your business separate from your personal one. Now, all right, story time. All right, so part of the fun is I have stories to tell, and I love telling them because I think it gives you kind of a little bit of a giggle on the side, and it also gives you a chance to see agents have really done that. Yeah, they have. So years ago in California, one of the positions I held was the director of operations for a seminar company that traveled the state. And we did seminars for real estate agents, and we also were able to get them their CE credits at the end of the seminar, which was the big draw that they could come and get their full 45 credits in 2.5 days. So as we had 12 to 14-hour days, after usually the second day of it, we were getting kind of punchy. And so we started looking at the rosters of who was there at the seminar, and we'd have anywhere from 200 to 600 agents at a seminar. And we would run through the roster to see who had the most inappropriate business email address. Stripper pole mama still wins. Stripper pole mama. Yeah. Still wins, hands down. I still talk to my friends every once in a while. All we got to do is say, and the winner is, and we all go hysterical because we know exactly what that meant. Please do not use that kind of an email address for business. Unless that is your business, then you keep it separate. So do have a professional one, and whenever possible, do keep it in alignment with your domain name. It just makes you look more professional, and it makes your marketing much easier as well. Okay, back on track. All right, see, that's the fun of coming to these classes. You get the silly stuff. All right, so can't say I don't entertain you, or at least try. See, you have to laugh at my joke, so there you go, got it. All right, so now, at the bottom of your email signature, obviously you need to have your name, realtor, the company, all the legalese you have to have on there. And I do have on the handouts, I do have the component that may or may not apply in whatever state you're in. Some states require you to have license in the state of, blah, blah, blah. Other states require you to have your license number, so just know what your local state regulations are. But at the end, you want to have a call to action. Now, your call to action can also be the PS at the end of the email. Now, when you set up your automatic signature on your email, you can do the PS first, and your PS is your tagline or your call to action. Visit my website 24/7 but you got to tell them what you want them to go see. Don't just say, go visit my website. I don't want to go visit your website because I don't know what's on it. But if you tell me that you have free reports on there, remember we found out that KV Core will allow you to add a custom page? That's where that piece of the puzzle goes with that piece of the puzzle. So we're going to add on eventually a custom page onto your website. So now you can direct people to go to your website to check out the free reports. Boom. Is that brilliant or is that brilliant? It's brilliant, okay? So have a tagline, but again, be specific with why you're sending them to the site. Okay? You can have it ask for free reports. You can have in there as a tagline of, ask for my free newsletter. Yes, we're going to be doing a whole class on newsletters and how to leverage them. Okay. Do you have free newsletters already available to you? Yes, you do. You have lots of options. You have lots and lots of options. So you can have that on there as well. Now, it is recommended that after a while, especially if it's your business email that's going out, you want to change the color every once in a while or change the font of your signature, just enough to spark it a little bit a difference, because people that or you email all the time, they become blind to it after a while. So if you change even your signature or your call to action, with, hey, visit my website for blah, change the font, change the color, change the whatever, it's going to catch their eye again and regenerate the interest, okay? You want to get away from using the call to action of call me now, because you don't want them calling you now. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, they're drunk. You don't want them calling you. Trust me, you don't want them calling you, okay? But because they're not ready to talk to you yet either. So if you send them to a neutral, safe place, your website, that they can go 24/7, yes they can, well you're sound asleep, you're good, okay? Then when they're ready to talk to you, they know that they can call you. You don't need to tell them to call you, okay? That's part of the neuro-linguistic side of business and marketing. Okay, so there are some tips on your email. Check what you've got. If you want me to take a look at it after you get it done, shoot me an email. I'll take a peek at it and give you a two-word comment back. But yeah, have fun with it as well. But your call to action is, what do you want them to do? Where do you want them to go? What information do you have available for them? And where can they go get it? All right, any questions on that? Boom, good, well, let's go. All right, so, and then link to your website. Once you've got your KV Core set up, there is a website on there. And if you have your own domain name, we'll connect it. And then we'll show you how to add that link into your email signature. It is easy breezy to do. If I can figure it out without instructions, y'all can figure it out without instructions, okay? But it's easy. Okay, so that are some tips on emails and an email signature that's going to give you some leverage. So real quick, on page 8 and 9 of your handouts, there is a .com, .org, .net, what? Who knew? Okay, so I found this great article. Again, let me give credit where credit is due. Judith, who wrote this blog, I started to do some research on, what was the best terminology to explain what the different options were, and I came across that. I thought, you know what? She says it perfectly. I'm just going to copy it and give her credit for it. So thank you for that, Judith. When you get a chance, look it over. It talks about, there's 2 parts to your domain name. Obviously, the first is your domain name, and then the extension. The extension is the .com, .org, .net, .info. So the .com was originally launched with, obviously, the big .com for commerce, for business. Then it went into .org. Org is for organizations, nonprofits, churches is typically how it is broken down. The .net is considered appropriate for networking, which is also kind of what you do. So if a .com is not available, you can use a .net, and you can also use a .info. You would not want to use a .org. Just 2 cents on that one. So again, peruse that over at your convenience, but that is how those break down. So we already talked about getting your URL through the GoDaddy versus the Google domain or any other vendor that's out there, and the downside of locking it in. that will not allow you to transfer it when they want to take and start jacking their prices up. So, okay, so we've covered that one. And some tips for in the real estate world, if you're wanting to use your name, your first and last name, especially if it is a complex or challenging spelling, you may want to figure out how to simplify it. The reason is the more complicated it is, the more likely there'll be typos in there and your people will not be able to find you if they're looking for you. So take that into consideration. Sometimes you'll just use your first name or whatever, so take that into consideration as well. Find out if you can get an email address and your domain as the same. And then the other thing I'm going to throw out is be careful using the term realtor. There are some rules and regulations. There's a lot on if you Google it, you're going to find a lot that says you can use it to your heart's content. According to the National Association of Realtors, there are some regulations of what you can and can't do. For example, if it is connected with your name, yes, you can use it according to some sources. But if you want to say Virginia's best realtor, no, you cannot. Okay? Realtor is a registered trademark, which is why the little R and the circle goes after it, is because it is a registered trademark by the National Association of Realtors. And you can only be a realtor if you are a member of the National Association. If you're just a member of the local, technically you're not. You've got to be a member of the National. So just know that there's a little gray area there. You want to make sure that you're staying compliant, because if they ever decide they want to come back and start nailing people with fines or a cease and desist to stop using it, it could get muddy real quick. Apparently, an agent in Texas recently got a cease and desist from the National Association because she was using it incorrectly in her domain and in her email address. Don't know the background on that one, but just be aware that there is a little mud puddle out there that we need to check on. And again, when in doubt, double check with your broker. All right? All right, so on page 10 of your handout, we have given you some ideas and suggestions of things you can do. Again, mainly it's just kind of get your brain going. Now, when you go into, I'm just going to say GoDaddy or Google Domains, and if you're looking for one and it's not available, it's going to tell you that it's not available, but it may give you other options. Sometimes those other options, you go, ooh, I like that one better. So use, kind of be open to what they may come back as suggestions for you as well. Okay? All right, so let's go on. Protocol for using virtual meetings. I cannot believe after all this time of everyone using virtual GoTo or Zoom meeting platforms that we even have to have this discussion, but we're going to have it. So we want to make sure that first off, you know how to log in, you know how to mute, you know how to turn your camera on and off, whether you're on your phone or whether you're on a laptop or desktop. You need to know that you have the ability to do that. Now, you hear all the jokes that have flown around social media about people taking their phones, they didn't know their camera was still on, they go to the restroom. It's real. I don't need to know what color underwear you have on, so know how to turn those on and off if you're involved in a meeting that you need to go do something else. All right? Now, excuse me. So the other piece of the puzzle that I'm going to ask you to do for your homework is to set up, if you do not already have one, set yourself up either a Zoom or a GoTo. They're both free on the basic platform. You don't need to pay for one. But here's why. I'm a big reason just to tell you why. So there may be times that you need to have a buyer consultation or a consultation with a client that's out of the area. And you can give them the option of either meeting in person or doing a Zoom, whichever is most convenient for them. All right? Now, we're in Virginia and surrounding areas, and we have weather here, correct? Okay? Does it snow sometimes? Are there ice storms sometimes? Are there pouring rain sometimes, like driving into a fire hose? Okay? You do not need to be on the road and jeopardize your health and safety, nor your clients. And I have unfortunately seen it happen one too many times where an agent was insisting that they met with this client and the weather conditions were not supporting safe travel. But they needed to meet with that client because they didn't want the client to go somewhere else. So they encouraged the client, just come on in and meet. They didn't have the option for them to do a virtual GoTo or Zoom platform meeting. So they get to the office in horrific weather conditions. Then 30 minutes later, they're miffed that the client didn't show up. They're now miffed because the client's not answering their phone. So they're starting to leave nasty messages with, excuse me, I thought we had a meeting, where are you at? Why aren't you here? I'm here waiting for you, blah, 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 blah. Well, it wasn't until later that they found out that the reason the client didn't show up was the client spun out on the freeway and was now in a ditch and was being taken off to the hospital. So the point to that is, for your safety, as well as the safety of your clients, know how to do a virtual or Zoom meeting, okay? So when weather conditions are not favorable, or they're out of the area, or you're going, I'd just as soon leave my slippers on, you can say, hey, we've got one of two options I can offer you. We can either meet in person, weather conditions providing safe travel, or we can meet by Zoom. There's a lot of times the efficiency and the effectiveness of that meeting can still be done face-to-face by Zoom versus just over the phone, all right? But you're not putting yourself at risk, nor are you putting your client at risk. And I'll tell you, that agent, when they found out why their client was late, when they got done being all cranky about it, was horrified. And then I've also heard where it's been on the other side, where the agent, was involved in an accident and never made it to the appointment. Don't put yourself in harm's way, okay? Technology these days is phenomenal. Use it as you need it. But more important, your client is going to go, wow, I'm impressed. They may never say it, but they're probably going to think it. So know how to do one. So if you have not ever set yourself up with a virtual platform, again, whether it be Zoom or whether it be GoToMeeting, set part of your homework, set it up, find another agent or family member that says, hey, I'm working on a project, I need your help, okay? I need to do a practice run on this, and make sure you've got it. Now, when we do the buyer consultation class, we're going to talk about how to do one virtually. We're going to have a PowerPoint that we're actually going to make sure that you get, so you know how to do a screen share, which will allow them to see your screen as well, and you can go through a PowerPoint with them as well. It is easy. It is easy. You do not need to be tech savvy in order to do it. But I would strongly urge you to set it up, know how to use it, and so that way, when the opportunity presents itself, you can ask your client, which do they prefer? What are they more comfortable with? Either meeting live based off weather conditions, or do we want to just be safe and do it by a virtual meeting? Okay. Now, if you're a listing presentation, you need to see the house. That's a little bit different. But if you're doing a buyer consultation or just any updates or anything, absolutely know how to use a Zoom platform and impress the heck out of your clients. Okay? Good? Good. All right. I got some thumbs up there. All right. So as we talk about a little bit about your taglines and your mission statement, I'm going to give you the one that is the best there is. Now, I know that there's a lot of brands that are out there that have branded themselves. So when I say Nike, you know that Just Do It is their tagline. If we mention McDonald's, you know that I'm loving it is their tagline. If we mention BMW, it's the ultimate driving machine. If it is LG, life's good. If it's, GE, imagination at work. So these are companies in Target, get more, pay less. These are all companies that have branded beautifully. You can hear either their name and you know what their tagline is, or you hear the tagline and you know which company it is. So in real estate, you want to create your own kind of brand and tagline as well. So one of the best that is out there, or one of the worst ones, is my greatest form of flattery is your referral. I know I just stepped on a few toes on that one. I'm sorry. But you gave me permission to be blunt. So sorry about that one, but yeah, that's one out there. I'll do a good job for you. Really? No. I want an agent who's going to do a crummy job. okay? You don't need to tell them that. My professional team and I are here for you 24/7. No, you're not. You are not on call 24/7. Or trust me, I'm your realtor. Yeah, no. Usually when we do a class on business cards, especially when we were in the seminar platform, I had business cards from all over. I'd get them, and I'd go, yeah, that one sucks. Yeah, oh, that one's even worse. So we would go through, and people would just be sweating bullets in class to make sure I wasn't going to call them out on them. So at some point, I'll get your business cards. They're gonna, oh, yeah, not good. Okay, so those are some of the worst that are out there. So I want to give you the best. And it is in your handout. It is in the middle of page 12. The mission statement that is the best that you all can work with and run with is, my mission is to help you protect and maintain the value of your greatest asset, your home. And your monthly tips and free reports will help do just that. Now you have a mission statement that is clear, to the point, brings them value. It is not ego-driven, and it gives you leverage. It's going to give you leverage on what follow-up conversations can be. I hear all the time, agents panic because they don't know what to say when they're calling somebody back. They don't know how to start another conversation. With a mission statement along this line, you've just opened the floodgates. You have multiple conversation starting points from that, all right? So that one works, it works well. The beauty of it is every single one of you can use it because you all have different clientele and sphere of influence around you. And so you're not going to be competing necessarily with the same people with the same property. But if it's another agent with another company and they don't know this, they're not using this. But this one is by far, hands down, the best one on the planet. And if you take nothing away, take that away, okay? All right, so a great mission statement is going to state what value you bring. And it gives you leverage to continue conversations and to provide information. So I would encourage you to master that one. All right, now QR codes. QR codes are coming back. They were popular a few years ago. They kind of slid away. Now they're coming back again. This is one of those things that is optional. What I would encourage you to do is look at the clientele that you're potentially going to be working with and specialize in. There you go. Session 4, Jumpstart, getting into your specific marketing. We'll go into that. But if QR codes is something that your clientele would be using, then by all means. Okay, but I want you to just understand the basics of it, how to use it, how to download the app on your phone. QR codes are free, by the way. Okay, how to put them into a flyer or on a sign. You can absolutely do all that. So just know that they're out there. If that is something that resonates with you, by all means, run with it. It's kind of a comeback after the last couple of years. People love the fact that they can use their phone, especially the techie age bracket. They love to be able to snap that QR code. You can get one that takes you to your website. You can get it take you to a property flyer, all those options, okay? So know that it's a great tool, know that it's out there, and know how to use it if, in fact, you do want to use it, okay? All right, so moving on to the next section. On bottom of page 12, there are 7 fun real estate designations for 2022. Came across this in one of our publications that comes out, and I thought, you know what, this is fun, we're going to include it in there. So if you are wanting to specialize with the senior buyers or sellers, there's the information on the SRES. Know that there are several out there, and again, we're going to talk about specifics, session 4, Jumpstart, all right? All right, so I just want to include that in there for you. Now, one of the last things as we wrap down here, I find that agents often don't know what to do on a daily basis. So your daily to-do checklist. When they formatted this for me, they actually put it beautifully on one page. So you can either type it out yourself, or you can do a copy, or you can just reprint this page, whatever works for you. But it gives you the list of the tasks that you need to do on a daily basis. Obviously, log into KV Core. Okay? Learn something new. Visualize your days. We talked about the vision boards. Read your affirmations. Get your mind in the game. We talk about that tomorrow in session 2. Listen or read something motivational and educational. The world is full of negative garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. So you need to make sure that you're filling it up with positive. You want to check your emails. Now, if you are one that gets sucked into time and 3 hours later you're going, it's dinner time already? Set a timer. Y'all have cell phones? There's a clock on there. Set a time, all right? Same thing with social media. If you're going to do a social media post or go onto Facebook and check, and make comments and respond back, set yourself a timer. Because if not, you're right, the whole day can get sucked away with playing on, social media, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, any of those. Just be careful because it will suck the life out of you. You want to review your calendar for the week. You want to see what you've got up today, what you've got up tomorrow, and for the rest of the week. Is there anything later in the week that's due that you need to do a prep or anything on today? Obviously, you want to review any transactions that you're working on. You always want to be up to speed on a daily basis. Now, once you start a contract, are there deadlines? There are. You should know every day what day you are on within that transaction. So 1, 2, 3 Cardinal Way, you're on day 4. You should know based on the contract what is going to come up on day 5 or day 7, what's coming up for reports that are needed. I used to pass my gang in the hallway and say, what day are we on for 123 Main Street? And they better be able to tell me. Okay? It kept them on their toes, and they never missed a deadline. Now, how else can you do that? Put it in your calendar. Day 1, 123 Main. Day 5, 123 Cardinal. Have it in there. Even if you've got a full plate of transactions going, you still need to know what day you're on. That is a tip that'll separate you from the average agent out there to a superb agent. And again, I don't care, superb agent, even if if you just want to do a handful of transactions a year, that's okay. Still be a superb agent. Know where you're at and know where what day you're on. Okay, that way you don't miss anything either. Next thing on your checklist for your day is adding new contacts to your database. You want to check the MLS if there's any new listings or changes, either in your area or whatever area you're kind of keeping an eye on and monitoring. Write any personal notes, thank yous, or birthday cards. Send out 2 newsletters or a tip to someone in your SOI, your sphere of influence. Okay. Oh, wait, you need your database in order to do that. That's KV Core. That's your assignment here because we talk about it in session 3. All right? So you see where the pieces of the puzzle are now going to start? Yeah, I'm seeing the heads nod. Okay? This is where all these puzzle pieces start coming in. We got the foundation. We can do this other great fun stuff. But without the foundation, you're slopping in the quicksand because you stepped in the middle of the Swiss cheese hole, okay? All right, so you want to preview any properties that may be in, if there's a market or a farm area that you're doing, you absolutely want to keep up to speed on what's going on in that area. You want to take a look at any marketing activities you need to do for that day. You need to learn and something new in the tech field, and then read 1 page of the contract or disclosure. Now, this is a great technique and a great tip for a newer agent who cannot recite the contract to me inside out and backwards. Now, I remember back when I was a new agent, to look at that 14-page contract in California scared me to no end. And I remember I would call my broker mentor and go, okay, I have a question, da-da-da. She'd go, page 3, M2, it says, and she'd read the paragraph. And I would just go, oh my God, I do have to memorize this whole thing. And I remember I asked her, I said, Anita, my God, how do you know all this? I mean, did you memorize it or just you've done it for so long? And she looked at me and she goes, no, I wrote most of it. I went, okay, that explains why she knew it inside out and backwards. But what I would encourage as a new agent to do, yes, there's going to be some phenomenal contract classes for you to go to. You should go to them every chance you get. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, every time they come up, okay? Because you're going to learn something new from each one. Now, if you take the paragraph or a half page, I don't care, and read the paragraph of a contract or disclosure, and then ask yourself, if a client were to ask me about that paragraph on the buyer side or on the seller side, what would I say? Because you got to remember, every paragraph that's in those contracts is there because somebody sued somebody. Amazing, isn't it? So when you read the paragraph, and then just ask yourself, if my buyer were to ask me what that means or how it applies, what would I say? If a seller were to ask me, what would I say? All right? That is how you learn to master those contracts without breaking into a cold sweat every time you got to write one. You're still going to probably break out into a cold sweat every time you got to write one, but at least when a client has a question, you know how to answer it. And if you find yourself getting tongue-tied or tripped up, that's when you go to the contract class and ask the instructor or ask your broker or ask your, whoever your business coach is. If a client were to ask me about that paragraph, what would I say? How would I answer it? That is how you master it, and that is why I've included it on there, okay? So, again, once you go through all this, you're probably only looking at less than an hour to go through all this. But so often, we don't know what to do, we don't know where to start. So, here you be. There it is, all right there mapped out for you. Okay, so at the end of each day, you want to ask yourself as well, have I been productive or have I been busy? There's a difference. Sometimes you still need to be busy, doing busy work, but yet, believe it or not, there's some productivity that comes out of it as well. So again, you've got to get those tasks done in order to be able to move on. So allow yourself to be busy on occasion, allow yourself to be productive on occasion. All right, so busy or productive? You got to know. All right, so as we wrap up here, I have often been asked, what are the books that are on my bookshelf that have brought me those ahas over time? And this is one that when I pulled my books off, I keep my favorite ones on the top shelf. And when I pull them out and they've got little Post-it notes in it, and I flip through it, it looks like a coloring book, then I know that there was a lot of good ahas in that one. This is one that I was introduced to several years after I'd been in the business. I jokingly said I wish I would have known it early on, but it's 21 things I wish my broker had told me. Now, there's a whole kind of a list of some things that were included in there. If it is appealing to you, in the handout, I'll give you some of the bullet points that are included. If it appeals to you, you're certainly welcome to go find it. I think Amazon has it. I have no skin in the game on it, but it's just one that had some good ahas as well. But one of my favorite ones is, remember, this business is about networking, and it's about marketing. You need to become a marketing specialist. Session 4, Jumpstart. How to market, who is your market, who is your target, and what's the message that needs to go out to them. So a good book, just wanted to share that with you. You're welcome. Now, always encourage you to be the uncola. There's enough agents out there doing the same stuff over and over again. I want you to think about being the uncola. As long as it is legal, ethical, and moral, think outside the box. You can think outside the box, be creative, be unique, and have fun doing this business, because it can be fun. All right? So be the uncola. So as we wrap up, I want to give a big thank you to Cardinal Tile for sponsoring this class. There's also something, again, I always tell you, hear my heart. There's a whole team of people that are behind me that are helping bring this all to you. And they're kind of the unsung heroes that are back there. And I'm always afraid I'm going to miss somebody in the thank yous. But I do just want to let you as agents know that there's a whole bunch of people that are rooting for you, that are cheering you on, that are doing everything they can to bring you the best information available, the best value, that are making things happen. So, I mean, the little team that's behind me, again, a huge thank you to them. There's Melissa and Katie and Holly, and of course, Ethan back there behind the screen. Those are the ones that are making this all come to life for you. So know that if there's any value at all from the classes that I get to bring you, I hope and I trust that there are. It is my privilege in which to do so, but I do want to thank Cardinal, and I also want to thank the team. You may never meet them, but just know there's a whole bunch out there that are rooting for you as well, that are doing what they can and their expertise to bring everything to you on a silver platter. So with that, we're going to wrap up with, remember, I don't care what you know. I mean, I do, but I don't. I want to know what you're doing with what you know. Because again, I've seen agents for years and years and years go to every training there was and never do anything with what they learned. And they were in the same pit they were a month ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. So I want to know what you're doing with what you know. So as you're ready to wrap down, I want to hear from those that are in my audience today is, what was your aha? What was your takeaway? And yes, I'm going to call you out on it. So let me step off screen for just a second. I'm going to see who's ready for a payday. And yes, I'll probably end up throwing them. All right? So we're going to start over this side of the room. What was your aha? What was your takeaway?
So my aha was the exercise about my why and just really pinpointing my why.
Okay, the exercise about the why and pinpointing it.
And my takeaway was bad taglines and
Bad taglines.
recognizing where I've seen them and not wanting to have one.
Very good, very good. You ready for a payday?
Sure.
All right, catch. Oops, okay, sorry about that. All right, my friends in the back. Aha, takeaway. Yeah. And are the mics on? Just speak into it, yeah. If not, I'll repeat. Yeah, that's fine.
My aha moment was to write in the third person instead of the first, because I've been doing my bio in the first person.
Okay, on your bios, write in the third person, not in the first person. Great.
And what was the other thing?
What was your other
Takeaway?
takeaway that you need to go do?
Well, I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. Where or how do you go about doing a 24/7 informational hotline?
Ooh, good question. How to set up an informational hotline.
Yeah,
Now,
'cause I'm interested in that.
okay, what you can do, okay, if by chance you still have one of those old-fashioned landlines,
No.
okay, you can convert that over to a 24/7 information hotline. But you could also get a second
the
Google
Google
Voice.
yeah,
mhm,
okay.
And you can set it up using it that way.
Okay, so I can go online and research on how to do that?
Yep.
Okay,
mhm,
great.
Yep. Excellent. Okay, good job. You ready for a payday? Okay, let's see if I can toss.
See if I can catch.
Hey, Mr. Donnie. Good, good. All right, so aha takeaway. You can stay. Come back.
I'm finally a believer in the vision board. Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Finally, I looked at vision boards 20 years, right? Yeah.
Better late than never.
Lynn got it, Donnie.
Uh-oh.
Lynn drove it home, and the daily task to-do list is like, yeah, the way you break things down and simplify it and make it easy. I'm ready to go sit at the computer and look at it.
Excellent. Thank you.
And take some action. And thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome. So,
I want my
payday,
payday.
ready? Oh, I'm a bad. Yeah. Okay, so several years ago, I was president of our Rotary Club, and one of the things we got to do was throw out the first pitch at the Little League field. I had the mayor standing next to me. I just prayed that I didn't hit him. Although people said they'd give me some money if I did, but I didn't. So anyway, you don't have to worry about me leaving and going pro, because that ain't going to happen.
I'm actually leaving the pro softball circuit.
There we go. Okay, aha takeaway.
All right, my aha was
Thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you, Donnie.
Pop in and bug you.
I love it. Anytime, you're welcome.
my aha point was the bio as a third person. That was great. And my takeaway is set the voicemail, which I need
The
to do.
voicemail? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So once you get your voicemail done, you're going to send me a quick message. You can email me at lhamilton@samsonproperties.net. It's on my card. If you QR'd my code off my
Okay.
little card. And then I'll call you and listen to it.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. You ready for a payday?
Sure.
Okay.
You got it.
Oh, yes. Caught it. All right. Back here.
Thank you. I have one.
Oh, you have one?
Aha takeaway. There we go.
Actually, the last sentence you said, it's my aha.
Aha.
I don't care what you know. I want to know what you are doing with what you know.
Very good.
I'll be honest with you, it takes me to the basics. Okay? I've been in the business for a while.
Uh-huh.
I'm from California. I just moved here, by the way.
Oh, where?
Los Angeles.
Oh, San Diego.
Awesome.
Okay.
So I can tell from the number, the phone number. I saw the phone number 619 area code.
Yeah.
I realized we're talking here about
Yeah.
locality.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, it's taking me to the basics, which is setting my goals. And yes, I know what you said before. I totally know. I did be trained by Mike Ferry. I had training with other coaches. But here, are you able to implement this?
Yeah.
Make an action plan, or just you know it? So I don't care what you
No,
know.
I wanna know what
want
you're
to
doing
know
with
what
what
you're
you're doing.
doing with what you know.
Excellent. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad that worked. Let me see if I can do this without spilling your coffee. Ready? Boom. I may have to go for the minors. All right. Aha takeaway for me.
That was a good speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really like the big why. You know.
big why,
Yeah.
okay.
I really like, especially for buyers. And my takeaway is to set up my voicemail. So that is one of the things that I want to do.
Okay, so set up the voicemail, then let me know you got it
Voicemail.
done, and I'm going to
Yes,
call. All right, ready?
yes.
Ready for a payday? Boom. There. I'm getting good at this. All right. Aha takeaway. Yeah.
Okay, my aha was to set up my bio. I never did that before. And my takeaway is like to set up a vision board. That's a good one.
Vision boards
To
and
keep you focused.
Yep, yep. I say it all plays a part. You know, it all makes a difference. Well, very good. I'm glad you were here. Catch. Boom. I'm getting better at this. Woo. Had to get warmed up. All right.
I love the call to actions on the voicemail and on your email signature and all of the places. And also loving the daily structure to-do list kind of how to structure your day every day.
Good, good. Well, thank you. Ready for, sounds like you're all ready for a good payday. There you go. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for being here. I say this is foundation 1 of Jumpstart. We're going to go have 2, 3, and 4. It's every Tuesday for the rest of the month. We're going to be recording them out and getting them out, broadcasting them out live as well. So for those that are watching remotely, I know who a few of you are. It's good to have you. I'm glad that you are here. And for those that are here live with us, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. Go out, be awesome. Get through your checklist of these tasks of getting these things set up, because then next week we're ready to add the next layer. And then it builds on 3 and it builds on 4. So if there's any questions, I'll hang around for a few. If not, go be wonderful, go be awesome, and I will see you soon. All righty, thank you.